Buenas tardes. Good afternoon.
Good
Uh,
evening,
is
everyone.
are we
We'll do a
working?
quick welcome. Yeah,
Oh,
we'll
right.
do a quick welcome and then we'll hand things over to you. So,
Okay.
um, hello, everyone. Good evening. It's wonderful to see you all again this evening at our spring series at Santa Fe Community College. We're so glad you're here. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Valerie Nye, and I'm the library director, and I'm excited to kick off tonight's event. As we near the end of our spring series and the end of the semester, I want to thank you all for being part of these gatherings. It's been really inspiring to be part of this experience and knowing the creativity that's being shared and generated. I want to let you know that you should not worry. We are already lining up people for the fall. We have a great set of writers lining up to participate and share their work with us, and we'll be sharing those details really soon. I'll be sending that information out to the email list that I've been using to send you information about the writing series. So you will be able to look at it and sign up for information and the fall series. And we're looking forward to sharing that information with you. Before we go into tonight's program, I also wanted to do a quick reminder that next week on May 7th at 6 p.m., we're celebrating the conclusion of our series by having a community reading. It's going to be a chance for us all to share pieces we've written during the series and meditations we may have had. So you can come and share, or if you would like to listen and support other writers, that is perfectly fine as well. So we hope you'll all join us to celebrate the creative learning and work that's happened this semester. And now I am thrilled to turn things over to Austin Eichelberger, an SFCC professor, artist, and writer who brings so much to these events. I'll turn it over to you, Austin, and you can take it from here. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Val. Welcome, everyone. This creative session is brought to you by the Santa Fe Community College Library and the Creative Writing Program. We are thrilled to have you join us tonight for this special reading event, and we hope that you'll come back to celebrate the power of words and storytelling at our future events. Tonight's gathering is an invitation to those who have passion for the written word. If you've ever dreamed of becoming a writer, whether you'd like to craft compelling fiction, pen evocative poetry, or explore the world of nonfiction, SFCC is awaiting your arrival. In our program, students can earn a certificate or an associate's degree in English language creative writing. The Santa Fe Community College Creative Writing Program nurtures aspiring writers, providing them with the tools, guidance, and inspiration to take their creative endeavors to new heights. We believe that writing is not only a useful and practical skill, but an art form that has the potential to change lives and connect people across time and space. SFCC's creative writing program is focused on your development as a writer, a reader, and a member of a creative community. Our faculty are published authors and professional editors, and our course offerings include a multi-genre workshop and an internship with the Santa Fe Literary Review, SFCC's in-print literary journal. Related degree and certificate requirements include opportunities to intern with local magazines, newspapers, and publishing houses, to explore the world of book arts, and to hone screenwriting skills. Students work closely with professors and peers to develop, revise, and publish creative and academic writing in a range of genres and formats. Upon completion, you'll have gained the skills and experience to submit a manuscript for publication, pursue a career in editing, or continue your studies in creative writing. You can also now complete the entire program online. Please see the chat for links to our program website, where you can see about our course offerings for fall 2025, explore the program requirements, and find information about the Santa Fe Literary Review and the Kate Besser Awards, SFCC's very own writing awards. For those of you considering your own creative writing journey, we encourage you to ask any questions you have about the program. Whether you're an experienced writer looking to take a single course or a complete novice ready to explore your creative potential, we have classes and resources for you. In Santa Fe Community College's creative writing program, we believe that everyone has a story and every story is worth sharing. Let us hear yours. I am excited to introduce once again Alfredo Celedón Luján, a career teacher. He has an MA in English and a Master of Letters in Creative Nonfiction from the Loaf School of English. Alfredo is a former president of the National Council of Teachers of English. He identifies as a Chicano writer. His writing amplifies familiarity and place. Alfredo's writing has appeared in the New Mexico Poetry Anthology of 2023, the New Mexico Humanities Review, the Santa Fe New Mexican Holiday Magazine, Puerto del Sol, La Herencia del Norte, Trickster, Making Sense, a real-world rhetorical reader, among many other journals and books. He believes in the written and/or digital preservation of family cuentos and stories by capturing place, textures, sound, and colloquial language. He is Norteño and lives in Eldorado, but he is from Nambé. Please help join me in welcoming for a wonderful creative session I know we're all excited for, Alfredo Luján.
Buenas tardes, and thank you, Austin. I'm nervous. After 50 years of teaching, I still get nervous after, making any kind of presentation. Anyway, buenas tardes, good afternoon. Today, we're going to try to pack a semester of writing into an hour. So we hope to, I have a script, but I hope that it's organic. We hope to capture some stories, cuentos, poems that stem from our childhood, our families, our homes, our names, whatever our curiosity lands on. Let's start with a stream of conscious free write. Some of you may have had teachers who use the term quick write for this activity. I use the Ken McCrory, Peter Elbow, Donald Graves model. There are only two rules to free writing. One, go straight from mind to paper. Two, do not stop to pause, to correct, erase, edit, or revise. Just write what's coming to your mind without focusing on anything. If the only thing that comes to your mind is, I don't know what to write that. If you run out of things to write numbers, colors, anything, but keep that pen or pencil moving. So let's start with that activity. I'm going to count down from 10 to 1. And when I get to 1, you start writing. So between 10 and 1, start organizing your thoughts and then just get them going on paper. This is thinking on paper. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, start. Okay. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, stop. If you're not finished, just write an ellipsis at the end and know that you can continue with it. It's not a polished piece of writing. You can come back and polish it if you like, or leave as is. All it is, again, is thinking on paper. Next, I'm wondering, does anyone have any questions about the vocab or the Mango Street vignettes that I sent ahead?
I don't think I had ever heard the third vocabulary word before.
Neither had I.
It's not in front of me, so
Yeah.
I forgot what it was.
And insomnia,
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
I heard it for the first time about 3 weeks ago. The reason I heard it is because I was sharing some writing with one of my former professors, Cheryl Glenn, and she was helping me sort out my writing and saying, well, this goes there and that goes over there and that goes in a folder that might be called insomnia. So when I looked up the word insomnia to find out what it means, I saw, and she explained to me that it's a piece of writing that praises someone or something highly. So I started to write to put anything that I wrote, like any obituaries, any vignettes, any eulogies, anything that I've written that praises someone or something, into a folder called insomnia. So for example, your poem about your friend would be an encomium. It would be a praise of your friend. Does that make sense? Yeah, okay. All right. Anyone else? I do have a couple of things. The vignettes that Sandra Cisneros wrote on the House of Mango Streets are all separate vignettes, yet they have a thematic line that runs through them. And for example, in my name, the word patriarchy is not used at all. But yet I think she's saying something about patriarchy in it. So that goes to the thinking that, show, don't tell. She's not telling us that her society or her culture was patriarchal, but she is telling us through the details of the vignette that it's patriarchal. Does that make sense? Yeah. Also, she does not talk about poverty. She never uses the word poverty, but the details of the house on Mango Street definitely show poverty and some shame in the description. The description of the house is very innocent, and at the same time, as an adult, she's telling us we lived in a impoverished environment that was patriarchal. So I just wanted to share that. Okay, next we're going to do a quick draw of a childhood map. I have a reason for this. I'll explain it in a minute. I have borrowed this childhood map idea from John Davis, former chair of the MFA program at the Institute of American Indian Arts. When I taught at the Native American Prep School, he came to do a workshop on Career Day. He drew his childhood map on the board and told us there is at least one story or poem in each place. He said it is helpful to start a piece of writing with a concrete image or place rather than an abstract idea coming from thin air. Your childhood map will not be to scale, of course. I would like for you to share that first picture, Val, if you would. Okay, there's my childhood map. And it took about 45 seconds to a minute to draw. The line that curves around at the top is the Nambé Road, that's State Road 503. And then there are arroyos, there are houses, there's the church, there's the elementary school, there's my childhood playground, there's an acequia, etc. And on this particular exercise, you just draw. It's kind of like your free write. You draw, you can come back and revise later if you want. You don't have to revise later. But if you would, let's spend 1 minute doing a childhood map. Just stop with anything else and just draw that childhood map where you grew up. It's not to scale. So for example, on mine, where that jagged edge is on the left, that's Los Alamos. And the rest of it is Puhuac and Nambé. So there's 15 miles between those. So it's not to scale. So can we do that? Okay, you got a minute to draw your childhood map, where you grew up. Okay, you can stop and you can come back to that later if you'd like. Valerie, would you share the second screen? It's the same map, but it's labeled. Okay, this is the same map, but now you can see that I've numbered the places. There's number 2, there's number 1, there's number 4, there's number 3, there is number 5, etc. So pick 5 places on your childhood map where you know an event happened, you know, a story that was either passed down, which is a cuento, it was passed down by your family, or an event happened there that was either joyful or it may have been tragic, it might have been sad. Just 5 places, just mark 5 of those spots on your map and then label them. For example, I wrote the Nambé Elementary School, the Sagrado Corazon Church, a Callejon, the Arroyo de Bernardo, the tree and the matanza, the gallinero, the chicken coop, the acequia, etc. So just label them, and you might write a keyword or a phrase that might trigger your cuento or story or poem. For example, I have on number 1, I have a BB. For me, that's basketball, and it's going to remind me of something that happened there, okay? I have next to the tree a matanza. That's going to trigger something that happened there. So let's spend a minute doing that. Okay, now of the places you picked, pick 1 where you go, where you're thinking, I would really like to write that story or tell that story or record that story. It's something that's like a childhood memory where you're going like, yeah, that's something I really want to capture, and put an asterisk next to it. Now you'll notice I have a circle in the middle of mine and I have an asterisk next to it. So that triggers a poem for me, actually. So pick one place and asterisk it, star it, check it, whatever you choose to do with it. All right, now I put an asterisk next to number 1 for me. And those of you who were here last week might remember the poem Soft Touch that I wrote. So I'm gonna read an excerpt of that poem for those who weren't here last week, to show what that particular place on my childhood map triggered for me. Soft touch. Mi nombre, Manuel. Manual. That's who I am. Manual labor. Working hands. A peon, they say. What do they know? I don't know how to read nor write right. They say, I'm a gopher. They asked me y mi jefita y carnala to bring pozole, tortillas, frijoles, y chile, because my family don't read nor write right neither. We cook and we do cositas con nuestras manos y manitas. La matanza, my grandpa butchered marranos, cows, sheep, kittens, food for the extended family. He lassoed a borrega from the hind leg, threw a rope over the branch of an apricot tree, and pulled the rope taut. I never learned those skills to butcher use, to cook blood and organs, to cultivate or harvest a garden, but I learned how to put meat on the table, and I learned about a basket and a ball. Not far from the apricot tree, Tio Benito nailed a basket on a ply backboard 10 feet up a telephone pole. All right, so now you look at the place that you asterisked or starred and put a little bit of silent thought to what story, poem, or cuento happened where you placed that asterisk. Cuento, again, is a story that was passed down. So sometimes there are places where, like maybe your grandparents' home or an uncle's home or even your parents' home, where a story was passed down from generations past. Maybe you want to record that story. Okay, so are there any questions? You're going to write something, a poem, a prose piece, something that is triggered by that particular place on your childhood map. We'll take about 5 minutes to do that. Take your time. Okay, again, if you're not finished, you can put an ellipsis at the end of your story and continue it later or not. That's your choice, of course. The next step, I think, in writing something like this is to read it. I have had, over my career of 50 years as a teacher, many students who wrote pieces and never read them. They would write them and turn them in without ever reading them. And my philosophy has always been, if you can tell the story, you can write the story. So writing the story, of course, is very important, but why write it if you're not going to read it yourself? So what you want to do right now is read the story. Just read it silently without stopping. Don't stop to edit. Don't stop to do anything. Just read it top to bottom. Now, if you have not read it aloud, I just recently attended a webinar myself where the poet said, poetry and writing is meant to be in the air. It's meant to be read aloud. So why don't you now, if you haven't yet, read whatever you wrote, read it aloud to yourself, to someone in the room, read it to a chair, read it to a sofa, read it to your cat or your dog. Just read it aloud. Hear your voice come out. Hear the cadence of your voice. Okay, now I want to share an arrogant poet story. I once invited a poet to come to my classroom and talk about his writing and his process. I kind of stopped listening when he said, I never revise my poems. My poems are final products the minute I finish writing them. And I went like, whoa, all I teach is revision. Revision is important. So I kind of stopped listening. But then he said something that captured me. And I think we've all been in classes we don't like, we're bored, or we have teachers we don't like, or who bore us, or, whatever. But there's always a takeaway from any class, whether we like it or not. And here's my takeaway. Can you share the next picture, Valerie? The Viga picture? What he said that was my takeaway from that session is he said, compare your writing to the vigas on a ceiling. Vigas on the ceiling are a southwestern architecture, right? The important thing about the vigas in your ceiling is the exposed viga. So here we have a picture of the vigas, and clearly they have an architectural bent to them. But what he said is that the space between the vigas is as important as the viga itself. The space costs nothing. It's there anyway. But the effect of the space between the vigas is as important as the viga itself. And what that taught me, anyway, my takeaway was what's left out of what we write is as important as what we leave in what we write. So as we revise, sometimes we choose to leave things in or to add things in or to leave things out. But the things we choose to leave out are as important as the things we choose to leave in. So now I'd like for you to spend about 2 or 3 minutes, and then we'll do some sharing, 2 or 3 minutes reading your poem or whatever it is that you wrote. Read it with revision in mind. Do you need to add anything? Do you need to leave anything out? Do you need to cross anything out? What is it that you want to do with your piece to flesh out the details? So let's do that for a couple of minutes. And in some cases, you don't want to leave anything out. You just want to leave as is. Maybe next week or a month from now or a year from now, you want to revise on your own time. Okay, now we get to the good part. But before I ask you to share, I do want to read an excerpt from the vignette called Our Good Day by Sandra Cisneros in the house on Mango Street. Because Lucy has long legs, she pedals. I sit on the back seat, and Rachel is skinny enough to get up on the handlebars, which makes the bike all wobbly as if the wheels are spaghetti. But after a bit, you get used to it. We ride faster and faster past my house, sad and red and crumbly in places, past Mr. Benny's grocery store on the corner, and down the avenue, which is dangerous. Laundromat, junk store, drugstore, windows and cars and more cars, and around the block back to Mango. I want to share that only because it was after I had gotten the advice from John Davis to do a childhood map that I read this and I thought, well, there's her childhood map. That Sandra Cisneros, probably without even thinking about it, was in words drawing her childhood map. So, do any of you want to share your free write? Please say yes, or your vignette, whatever it is that you wrote, your prose piece or your poem. We'd love to hear a couple of them. I think we have about 15 minutes left. So anyone want to share? Please say yes. Don't be shy. Okay, Linda looks like she wants to. Can we get Linda?
Yes. Renee, did you want to go first? I thought you had raised your hand. Okay. No, all right. Obviously, this is rough, but it's my 5th birthday, and my mother has planned a party. My closest friends have been invited, and being it is 1958, my friends and I are all wearing our Sunday best dresses, crinoline forming wide skirts and twirly patterns. I only remember 2 parts of the party, one being that handsome Harry Abel led a magic show in which I refused to have a pitcher of milk poured down my sleeve. I was 5 years old after all, not born yesterday. There was also a game of Ring Around the Rosie, but I doubt that we all fell down in our Sunday dresses. And my mother's memory more than mine, Chuck Hippler, the only boy at my party. This came up on more occasions than Chuck and I care to remember. And that's kind of where I stopped. And some of this, the point is being that all these friends were invited to my 5th birthday party celebrating my 5th birthday. And I'm in touch with 11 of these people still.
Awesome.
So, it's a childhood map that's gone down many trails. And that was it. But
that's great, Linda. Thank you. I
Sure.
loved all the details. The details say a lot about that story, a lot
Thank
about
you.
that day. Yeah. Okay, anyone else?
Oh, could I mention that one of the women who was a 5-year-old friend is in this class now? Her
Oh,
name is Bonnie, and she may not remember the party any better than I do, but she was there with Chuck Hippler. So
yay. Hi, Bonnie. Okay. Anyone else? Renee?
Yeah, I'll go. Linda, my favorite line was in my mother's memory more than mine. I feel like that could just be the title of the beginning of
Yeah.
something that was so beautiful.
Oh, thank you.
Okay. I sit in the cool river under the shade of a cottonwood tree. My grandmother or mother sits behind me and braids my hair, dipping her hands in the water between each plait. I am her and she is me, and we are the water and also the tree. It is understood that we are safe, but in hiding. I know how to be as quiet as a coyote. I know my father/grandfather/spirit guide is watching over us from the entrance to our hidden home at the foot of the pink barranca. The sun is high. A thunderbird flies overhead, and I'm able to switch to his aerial view. I am him, and he is me. I know the river. I know the hidden places. I know what my horse's hooves sound like when they cross the shallow, rocky riverbed, but we are not riding today.
After having read the poem about Julie Burgoyne, is that right? Julie?
Jackie.
Jackie. Julie was Perez. Okay, Jackie. The details you put into that poem and the details you're putting into this poem, I mean, are both auditory and visual and tactile. And you're using personification, you have a sense of, poetic license in this. And I really enjoy it. And I can see all of that. We grew up kind of in the same area. So the barrancas, the cottonwood, those concrete details bring the image and the feeling to mind. Thank you.
And by the way, that Tino right there is my my brother from
Really?
also
Hey,
from
Tino.
Cuyumungue. Yeah.
I have one.
Okay.
Linda will recognize this one if just from the architecture. All right. I don't know what the year this was, but it was probably before most of you were born. It used to be a grand hotel, they tell me. Art Deco, high ceilings, black and white tiles on the floor. I remember huge revolving black fans in the lobby after it became Waterman Memorial Hospital, right across Magnolia Avenue from my grandfather's hardware store. I used to walk through the ER like I belonged there. It was just a little entrance off Grove Street. A funeral home hearse doubled as the ambulance. I know this because Charlie Kennedy drove me home after my tonsils were taken out and he turned the siren on. Marianne Bishop and I would hang out in downtown Eustis, and we mostly went places that were interesting. We'd race over to the back entrance of the hospital, up the incline with small checkered tile, and into an area where the Pink Lady sat at a small wooden desk. That small area opened up to the vast room. There were 2 elevators there in that little area, wooden stairs behind the desk. Marianne and I would wait till the Pink Lady took a break, and we'd race each other in the elevators. Whoever made it to the 4th floor first was the winner. If someone got on before then, well, not so good, and the other laughed and said, "You lose." Sometimes the doors would open on a floor and we'd see the candy stripers in their pink and white striped dresses.
Again, you guys are just amazing with details. Where is this? Eustis, you said?
It's in Florida.
It's in Florida.
Small town that was long before people ever heard of Orlando, but in Central Florida. Linda and I grew up across the lake from each other.
Across the lake? What lake?
Yeah. West Crooked Lake.
West Crooked Lake. Cool. All right. Great. Thank you. The candy stripers, that I mean, you definitely, this is not before I was born, that's for sure. But candy stripers brings an image to my mind for sure, among many other of your images. Anyone else? I've got some family friends here, and I've got some colleagues here.
I'll go since we mentioned Cuyumungue. Something I hadn't thought about in a while. Me and Lino were hauling ass up and down the dusty dirt roads of Cuyumungue that afternoon. Speed demons and tricksters on 2 wheels, popping wheelies and seeing who could go no hands the longest. daring gravity to stop us. Hell, I'm gonna go all the way home from the bridge over the arroyo, break my own record. I figure I can zoom past the Luceros, coast all the way down past the Bustos Adobe and Cottonwood, and then stroll into the bus stop loop at the bottom of our driveway to do a victory lap. But Lino's already taken off, and so I jet down the hill. It's bumpy. I start to bounce, then I start to rattle, but I keep my hands up, and then I'm flying through the air, and then I'm in the ditch, my legs tangled up like a tumbleweed in my huffy bike frame. And then I ran out of time.
Well, you didn't run out of time because there's a lot of time left in your life. But those images, anybody who's ridden a bike and ridden a bike without hands and hit those bumps and ended up with a bike upside down and tangled, Tino, that brings back such childhood memories. One of the things on my childhood map was, we call it the Suicide Hills. And that's where we used to ride our bikes and cop air and crash and whatnot. So your passage brings back all those memories to me and to anybody who's ever ridden a bike. So that was cool. What Lino was that?
Lino Medina,
Yeah.
Lorenzo and Patty Medina were his parents. They lived over on the other side.
Yeah, cool. That was very cool. And your metaphor was fantastic. Like a tumbleweed. That was perfect Southwestern metaphor.
Thank you.
All right, we're at 54. How are we doing on time, Valerie? We're good? We have time maybe for one or two more shares. Aurelia? Anyone else? I won't try to put anybody on the spot. All of these.
Alfredo.
Yeah.
I'll read mine.
Okay. Who's talking?
Lisa.
Okay, Lisa, go.
All right. Mine's called Grandma's House. Old, poor, much poverty. Park on sidewalk. Tiny yard, big tree, leaves everywhere. Cracked door, cracked window pane, paint chipping, dust. Oddly welcoming. Open door, yell, Grandma! No answer. Familiar noises. Creaking floor, pots, pans banging, water running, the smell of Joy dish soap. Sounds louder, moving through house. Living room, old couches, blankets covering holes, black and white pictures, adobe walls, dim lighting, old carpet. Comforting. Getting closer, anticipation, heart beating faster. Truly happy. Finally, the kitchen. Grandma's back to me in an apron, dress and black flats. Hot wood stove, pozole, chili caribe, rolling out tortillas, butter on the table. Yum. Grandma turned, smiling, tears in eyes, wide open arms, lingering hug, so much love. I am home. That's it.
That's it?
Yeah.
That's a lot. That's a lot. I think all writing teachers always advise writers to use all of their senses. And I think you were using all of your senses in that particular piece of writing. And you just did your own house on Mango Street. Was this in Roy, or where was this?
This was in Las Vegas.
In Las Vegas.
Yeah.
In Las Vegas. You had every possible image and you stimulated every possible sense. That was great.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
You want me to read your mom's?
Yeah.
Okay. She doesn't want to read it. Her voice is scratchy. So here we go. It says, When I was a little girl of 5 years of age, I ran to a neighbor's house to buy eggs. The lady there told me her cow had a calf and they were going to send it to my house. I cried and cried on my way home. I understood the calf was being traded for me. But what they were doing is, what is it called? That word, weaning the calf from the mom. They weren't going to trade me. The end.
I'm very familiar with this story because it is a cuento. That's my mom, who is now 94, 95. Are you 95, Mom, or 94?
94.
95.
Yeah.
Okay. And through my whole life, I heard this story repeated multiple times in several variations. So this is an example of a cuento. This is a story that's being passed down. I could write this story now, or I could tell this story now, because I've heard it and it's been passed down through many generations. And I have always felt so bad for my mom because she was 5 years old and she thought she was going to be traded for a cow. That's it's funny, but it's also tragic, which is part of what happens in what we write, right? There's tragedy and there's also humor. And I've heard that in every piece that I've heard tonight. So cool. I'm gonna, if you want to write this down, I'm gonna write my email. I'm gonna tell you my email address. And if you want to send your story now, unfinished, or if you want to send it later after you polish it, I'd like to do a little anthology and then share it with all of you. So my email address is Alfredo, ALFREDO, .Luján, LUJAN, 49 @gmail.com. Let's do a deadline on this, though. Let's say end of May, the last day of May. So work on your story, send it to me anytime you're ready. If you wish to share, I'll put together an anthology and then I'll share it back with all of you. Can we do that, Valerie?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
And yeah, please, everybody, I won't know exactly who attended tonight. So even if you don't send something to him, if you could just email him, so we have everybody's email addresses, that would be great.
Cool. All right.
Well, thank you so much. Oh, go
Excuse
ahead.
me, could
Yeah.
Alfredo, could you repeat your email address just one more time, please? I'm
Okay.
sorry.
Alfredo, ALFREDO, .Luján, LUJAN, 49 @gmail.
Thank you.
This has been an inspiring evening. I just really appreciate your work to prepare for tonight and the writing session that we've had. It's inspired me. I actually have a whole list of things I want to write about, which I rarely feel inspired to write down a list after something like this. So thank you so much. And I hope you'll join us next week, Alfredo, when we can all come back together. And please, next week when we do our readings, please do not feel like you have to have anything polished or perfect. This is just an opportunity to share. And I love what you said, Alfredo, about reading out loud and having it go into the air. I think that is part of it. And I also really appreciate what you said about reading out loud. There's something really important that happens, I think, when we put our voice to things we've put on paper. The ownership and the appreciation that we can have for our own work is just exponential when that can happen. So we really hope you all will come back next week, and I'll be sending out a link for that session next Tuesday or Wednesday morning. And so is there anything else, Austin or Alfredo, you would like to say in closing tonight?
Just thank you, everyone.
Yeah, and don't ever knock your own writing. Don't ever
Mhm.
knock your own writing.
Mhm.
Great. Well, thank you, and we'll see you all next week. Have a
Bye.
good
Thanks,
evening.
everyone.
Bye-bye.